All right, so for anyone watching this, we just got off of our programming meeting. And Dave, what's our programming meeting all about?
Oh man, it's mostly about guys getting out of hand, I think, right?
Yeah, I get. Yeah, we were touching on little like Lucky Charms boys and weekly assessments. I mean,
There's a lot of
it ranges.
the HR department does not approve of these meetings.
No.
But I don't think people realize, like, the people on our staff, like you and Kenny and Ryan and Alec, we really do have some super special staff members that put all this together. I know they get up every day and look at the app and see a workout and see some videos, but not everybody realizes like what actually goes into that, like how it takes to actually put that all together and make sure with the 20 programs that we have available to people, making sure that everything is in there right, that people can record their scores and the right videos and the right text, and paying attention to feedback we're getting. And all of you guys are, first off, you started as members. You're lifelong athletes, like a lot of our athletes. I think you really have the ability to understand where they're coming from and what they want and need, and you've been a consumer on their end, so there's a level of empathy there that you guys have. And along the way, you started doing this stuff and you just loved it. It spoke to you, it changed your life, it got you excited about training again, and you wanted to be a part of it. And, first it started with you guys being like vocal members in the Facebook groups and sticking with us. And I'm like, man, this guy's doing the shred. He's doing private coaching. He's doing the Get Huge plan. He's, really, really into it. I love seeing that. He's posting about himself doing the workouts in his gym. And then it kind of turned into like an internship, like, hey, what can I do to help? And I'm like, oh, absolutely. Like, we could really use help, like rallying community or helping with some customer service, or just there's a lot to manage with all the athletes we have. And then as you guys gone through it, you became such valuable members that we just like made you part of the team, made you part of the family. And now over time, it's literally like the people we have running the company are some of the original members of the company. Which are really cool. And it's really great for me, for someone who probably excels more on the, programming, content creation, coaching side, not so much on the business administration, managing athletes, doing all the stuff that it takes to, continue to help us be successful to serve people every day. You guys are honestly more important than me. You know what I mean? Like a program is no good if nobody sees it or if they can't access it, right? So you guys are our small team of just great dudes that are part of this mission, like helping the world work hard, have fun, and bring thunder, breathing a new life into athletes' careers. You are the epicenter of it. And so we get together once a week to review all the programs together. And we literally read through every single program, looking for errors, sharing feedback. Sometimes you're like, hey, I think we actually did this one like last week and we'll make changes. Sometimes you guys are like, hey, we haven't done this complex in a while. I'm like, that's a great idea. Even like creatively solving problems. Like we found out this week, like, oh no, we need another week of energy system development. And as a team, we came up with the energy system development workouts. I mean, obviously, like I'm giving you guys input and guidance, but like you are helping create this thing, and just having each other's backs. Like you tell me, like, hey, there's this person in the Facebook group asking for X, Y, or Z. Maybe there's a product we can create to serve that person, or we're having this problem. Oh, the app isn't working. Now Kenny's going to go on the back end and make sure everything is humming. Ryan, Ryan is like out in Canada. He manages all of the SugarWatt app stuff, but like, he's also running his own business, and he just got nominated as one of the best businesses in his province. And so like, we're trying to support him. And I just love you guys. Like you are Thunder Bros through and through. And that time we have, although we're working really hard, we're staring for an hour at an app. I mean, there's a lot of joke cracking going on. There's a lot of camaraderie, and it's a really special time. It doesn't feel like work because I just enjoy being around you guys so much.
Oh, well, thanks, Dave. I really wasn't expecting that. That was, well, first off, really nice, but also you make it super easy, and it seems pretty easy to get a job. You work out, you ask some questions, you show that you love and care. So you make it really easy for us to do what we do for everyone.
Yeah, and I think training in general is not an easy industry to make a career out of. I think any of you guys out there who are listening, who at one time have been a trainer, or maybe you opened up a gym or have dabbled in the space, realize like there are a lot better ways to make money than training people. There's a lot easier ways to make money. The reason why we do this, well, there's two reasons. One, we just love it so much. It's our passion. So getting to work every day with something you're really passionate about, hopefully you have a good talent for. There's not a single day, even on our worst days when the world is crashing down and the apps aren't working and the customers aren't coming in, even on our worst day, it still doesn't feel like a day of work. It's the best day, outside of training. So it's a real privilege. And then the other reason is I've spent so much time devoted to this craft that there's not a lot of other stuff I'm really that qualified to do at this point. I've been doing this for 20 years. And so I better be good at it. And so we try to reflect as much quality as we can. And you guys keep me accountable. You make sure that I'm putting out my best effort and that we're putting out the cleanest product and the best experience for people. And we're evolving it, because that's another thing in training is you really do have to be evolving. What worked 5 years ago, what was popular or what people were interested in, or, what people are ready for, that kind of changes. And for our population of people, we're dealing with folks that are just like you and me. They're usually kind of like lifelong athletes. They've been training, they've trained hard before. A lot of them have done CrossFit before. A lot of them have even been maybe even a little bit competitive. And the idea of moving and being athletic, it means a lot. I call it it's a fabric of their identity is this idea of the joy of movement. And as you get older, you don't respond to training the same way. You end up with injuries. Things don't come as easy as they used to. So coming up with really good creative solutions to find progress as you get older, continuing to train hard without the injury, that's really our specialty. And so we're always listening and trying to get feedback and trying to bring in new elements while focusing on our core principle and methodology of just making sure that we're building good quality muscle with people and giving them the opportunity to train hard each week without getting broken down, where, I think a lot of them kind of hit a wall when it came to that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Dave, you have an awesome crew of people that are either personal trainers or CrossFit coaches. And, for anyone listening and watching right now, I didn't have any questions from the Facebook group. I had maybe some that I always write down throughout the week, but I really wanted to have this conversation with Dave and just kind of get a flow and see if anything comes to mind. And from everything that you've been saying, a lot of the giving back to the community and, feeling, wanted in a space. I'm going to ask you this question because for me, I grew up in a performing arts community. I was a dancer, did a lot of musical theater, and I didn't really play sports in high school. But in the end of my high school year, I was introduced to CrossFit, right? And at the time, for me, at that time, it was 2013, right? So this was really the rise of the peak CrossFit, right? All the neon green.
ESPN, billboards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I started at a really awesome time, and I was introduced to this gym in Venice Beach, California called Deuce Gym that's currently owned by Logan Gelbrick. But at the time, his partner, Danny Leslie, was my first coach. And the impact that place had on me was one, physically transformative, but also mentally. And the reason why I wanted to get into coaching was because of what they shared with me and how that changed me as a person. Was there a time that you felt that it was either when you were playing baseball or when you were at your first box or wherever it was, that there was someone that was like, hey, you know what, thank you for doing everything that you've taught me. I want to now follow in those footsteps or whatever?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I want to go back to something you said, about giving back to the community. For me, there's no giving back to the community. My goal is just to serve people, because for me, that's such an immense reward to feel like we have a small part in someone's journey, can contribute to the quality of their life or give them some hope, because I understand what that means, because I've been in those shoes before, right? It really is so invaluable. And for all the people that have helped me and guided me and taken me by the hand or put their hand on my shoulder and just told me hey man, is he okay? We'll figure it out. I understand some of the emotion that goes along with it and why your physical fitness is so important to not just your health, but your mental well-being, right? And the way it bleeds into all aspects of your life. When you're physically competent, when you feel strong and powerful, how that makes you a better dad, a better mom, a better worker, a better human. And now, especially, past few years going through a bit of a spiritual awakening, my only desire is to try to serve and to serve God by treating work like an act of worship, right? And saying like, hey, I'm not just programming this stuff to sell it so I can make money and live in a house. I'm programming this stuff as an offering, like the very best we can do to try to bring good things into the world. And in some ways, it's even channeling like the Holy Spirit, right? Of bringing, especially in our mantra, the joy, right? Like bringing thunder, working hard, having fun. All of that is a transmutation of what is the Holy Spirit and what we're trying to kind of spread around. So yes, like the physical fitness part is awesome. But what I love is that, that service of people. And there's no, like, that's not giving back. That's like selfishly, answering a calling. And so, yeah, I mean, we need to stay in business. We need to be able to pay people to continue to do this. But our primary goal is being able to put good things into the world and spread that light and give people hope. And it's funny because when we think about like training, it's in some ways it's suffering, right? Like it's tribulation. You're putting your body through turmoil. And I think that there's something so magical about having some level of daily suffering in your life, because suffering brings endurance, and endurance brings character, and character brings hope. And if you are living in hope, you're living with God. So, I think it's all part of the same thing. It's just like, it's such a blessing every day to be able to get up, and this job is a dream come true. And that's why I need you guys,
Yeah.
I need you to be with me and to continue, and all the members out there. Like, I need you guys to put your hands on your brothers and sisters and bring them into the gym and spread this stuff around.
Well, Dave, that's some very powerful stuff. I'm not in any sort of spiritual journey yet. I think that I grew up Jewish as well. It's something that I've kind of stepped away from the older that I got, but I think that we are in a spiritual awakening in our world right now, and I think you inspire me a lot to kind of look more into faith and service, and I know that is a huge part of our community.
Yeah, it's also really empowering. I think people they can choose different paths, but I can tell you, just from my perspective, being able to empower yourself through hard work, achieving a goal, having discipline. I mean, these are all things that I see as really positive expressions of masculinity and femininity too. It's choosing light over darkness. And I think that's why, people sometimes see the fun posts, or if they were like a fly on a wall during our programming meeting, they'd be like, wow, these guys are having a lot of fun working hard. And that's it. That's the energy right there. And that's what we want to kind of put out to people.
Oh, yeah. Well, Dave, thank you so much. You always bring amazing insight. And next week, we might have some questions from some people. Maybe I'll bring up something, or if there's anything specific you want to talk about. But thank you.
Yeah. Can I mention one thing, Anthony? Because I think
of course.
Talked about this before, but and I don't know if we mentioned this in the last one, but we had a good conversation on today's programming meeting about what we call training intuition, right?
Oh, yeah.
And for athletes in there, they're following an app, and we're working so hard to make sure the instructions are crystal clear. And I've seen a lot of times when maybe there's like a small error in the app, like it says 4 sets, but it's actually 5 sets or something like that. People sometimes become paralyzed because they don't know what to do, because it's like, well, the video is slightly different than what it's asking me to do. And I don't know, the more you train, and part of what I'm doing with you guys as a staff, but also as a community of people who are training, is trying to lay down a base of education, of basic principles, that you guys are in the gym and you are your own best coaches, right? And the more you train, the more you should be developing an intuition and understanding of just training in general. Like what's good training, and how your body responds to it, like what you need to do. And when you develop that, now you're also developing a capacity in some ways to really customize the program for yourself. So let me give you an example. Like, let's say you're a person who, it's bench press day and it says straight bar bench press. And you're like, yeah, I know, like every time I bench press, my shoulder kind of gets like a little bit tweaked. but I tried it this other way. I tried it with my hands now, or I tried this specialty bar with a neutral grip, or I did it with dumbbells and it didn't hurt. It's absolutely fine to be able to like look at the movement and be like, you know what, I'm going to customize this for myself a little bit to make sure that it fits me and my needs. Because we have thousands of athletes, but there's no way I can write a program for each individual person. So the more you train, you kind of start to figure this stuff out. Or from an intensity standpoint, right? You guys start to notice that every single exercise kind of builds up to like a really hard set, right? So, you know, if you can get there in 3 sets or 4 sets, that's great. If it takes you 5 sets, that's no problem. But I don't want people to feel so married or in some ways handicapped by what is written and doing it exactly by a T, and blunting that natural intuition we have of just understanding like what works for us and understanding the stimulus. So when you watch those videos, if you go to like the methods index videos, which are in the app and, you know, part of the educational resources, or even the videos of the exercises, you start to realize like, hey, you know, there's a target here and there are lots of different ways that I can kind of get to that target. And there's no one perfect way. The right way is the one that works best for you. And now you can kind of start to blend things together. When we have athletes come over here for group training sessions, we'll do exercises and we'll be like, okay, you know, we're going to straight bar bench press, and we get to the working sets. And always people ask me the same question, you know, how many reps am I doing? And I'll be like, I don't know. I'm going to watch you. I'm going to listen with my eyes. And when it looks like it's getting really hard, I'm going to give you a little spot. I'm going to ask you to do 3 more. And now you're getting effective working sets in. And I think what people do is sometimes they get so married to like the percentage or the reps or the numbers that they forget that it's like training is simple. You just need to expose your body to a stress that it's unaccustomed to. So, you know, if you're feeling good, keep going. If you're like, oh, I'm supposed to do 12 reps, but I only got 6, that's fine. As long as those were effective repetitions, as long as you were kind of flirting with failure relative to your capacity that day, that's an effective training session. So don't sweat it, you know, like also kind of think about this stuff from a 30,000 foot view of what you're doing, even with regard to like the training splits and how we're spreading out the volume throughout the week. That's another one we get is like rest days, right? It's like, well, it says the program is programmed Monday through Friday with 1 rest day here. I'm like, well, if that doesn't fit your schedule, you know, or if you're not feeling it that day, or if you're feeling recovered and it's a rest day and you're good to go, you can, you know, put your foot on the gas pedal, right? So there's lots of different ways you can customize this stuff.
I like that. I think giving people agency in their training, even though they're following something, where even if someone looks at something and they say, hey, yeah, okay, we got lat pull downs today, but you know, when I do body weight, I really feel my lats when I'm on there. Maybe I'll switch it to that. Like giving people the confidence to do that.
Yes. And, you know, usually, especially for the people that have been doing this for a while, that really have felt it and experienced it, you know, I wish I could get everybody in the program, you know, in my gym just for like one workout. Just
one workout with Dave.
Just for one workout, one time, to actually feel like what a hard training session should really be like, how fast you're supposed to be moving between sets. You know, what it's like sometimes we're doing exercises and, you know, originally we're like, oh, we're going to do 5 sets of this. But at set number 3, like we're already there. It's fine to move on. Like you don't have to beat a dead horse just because it's written. Just kind of think about it from more of a macro perspective of like, did I take myself really to the limit of my capacity and experience that stress and then move on to the next thing? And just, you know, in some ways, sometimes it's like, you know, like a hit it and quit it kind of mentality, right? Yeah. Okay, you got it, good. Like you're good. You don't need to punish yourself to death, or vice versa, right? I see a lot of people like they're doing all the sets, but not one of those sets is done really hard. You're still missing the mark there.
Would you say if you were Dave, I know you'll work out with, you know, a group of people, right? Whether it's friends or, you know, community, whatever it is, you're working out by yourself. How long does it usually take you?
I mean, it varies to some degree. I would say the more people we have, the longer it takes, because, you know, if you got, let's say 8 athletes and you're working on 2 separate stations, so you've got 4 athletes on each station, that inevitably just makes the rest periods like a little bit longer. So sometimes those get north of an hour. But if it's like me and a buddy in a garage, we can hit a killer workout in like 45 minutes where we get 2 or 3 or 4 like really hard movements and it's done. You know, if we add conditioning, maybe that goes an additional 15 minutes.
Sure.
But I love those sessions where it seems like the best training is the ones where you're working hard and you're working fast, right?
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, you know, oftentimes when we're building up, and this isn't the program sometimes, but just like not wasting it on the feeder sets too much, right? Not like blowing your gasket when you're just leading up, but really saving that intensity for the high RPE sets and really going for it. I think those are like the highest quality training sessions. So, you know, even as you guys look at this stuff and you're reading the RPEs and reading the sets, understand that like the whole exercise, each exercise really builds up to 1 or 2 super hard sets. And that's the intensity. Everything else is just meant to get you there, to kind of like prime your central nervous system, maybe to make you a little bit tired, really get you familiar with the movement. But it's like when it's go time, it's those sets where you say like, hey, this is my CrossFit games, right? I'm like, I'm shutting off the kill switch and I'm just going. And you know, that's really where you get the most out of it.
That's awesome. I think one time we'll have a video call and we'll go through a week, right? As if we were like a new athlete. And I would want you to talk to like a new athlete of, hey, this is how I would go through that day. I think that'd be super beneficial for the new person.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's also like, there's a bit of a difference sometimes between guys and girls, even in these programs. You know, like a lot of the girls, they want more volume, but oftentimes what they need is maybe a little bit more intensity. For a lot of guys, sometimes they go a little too hard on the intensity and they forget the tempos, and you know what I mean? They're just like, you know, you always want to feel like the strongest guy in the room or prove something.
I mean, even in like a CrossFit class, I always notice, right? We got a heavy bar. The guys are always struggling. The girls are calling time first because they knew exactly how to pace themselves. They knew exactly the right way to scale if they needed to. Then guys are still struggling going over the time cap.
Yeah, and it's like the art of coaching is just understanding who do you need to push, who do you need to pull back, and who do you need to like put your hand on their shoulder and just be like, you're good. You're good. You know, like I get a little scared right now. It's okay. Like it's okay. Like this is very normal.
Absolutely.
All right, brother.
Well, Dave,
Anthony.
Yeah, thank you.